In the Dreamtime, the land was flat, except for one mountain in the far north, called Bora Bunaru. There were no other hills or mountains, trees or bushes, and no animals, birds and insects. But there were people. Guriala, the rainbow serpent, woke up and wanted to find his tribe. He travelled from the south of Australia up to the north and stopped at Cape York. There he made a new red mountain called Naralul Algun. He listened to the voices of the people around him, carried in the wind, but he could not understand their language. This is not my country. I must keep looking for my people. He slithered down Naralul Algun and travelled north again, and his huge body made deep tracks as he moved through the earth. He slithered for many days, and his tracks became creeks and rivers as he passed by. He made 2 more mountains, Minalina, with sharp peaks and 5 caves, and Naradunga, which was more gently sloped and made of granite. When he had finished, he listened to the voices of the people again and again. They were strangers, so he travelled on. One day, Guriala heard singing on the wind, and he knew the words. These are my people, he said to himself. They are holding a big bora, or ceremony. He slithered on until he came to a place that he knew where the 2 rivers met. He saw his people dancing and singing. He watched them for a long time before he slithered towards them, and they welcomed him. He showed the men how to dress properly and taught them new dances. One day, a big storm, so the people built humpies to shelter in, and they built one for Guriala. When the storm started, the 2 young men from the tribe arrived looking for shelter. They were the Bilbil, also called the Lorikeet brothers, Rainbow Lorikeet brothers, and members of the tribe. They went to their grandmother, Star Woman's humpy, and asked if they could come inside. No, she said. I'm sorry. I have too many dogs in here, and there's not enough room. The brothers went to Guriala's humpy, but he was asleep and snoring, and they could see that his huge body filled up the space. The rain got heavier, so the brothers walked around all the humpies, but no one had any room for them. They went back to Guriala and woke him up. Please, can we squeeze inside with you? We are wet and cold, and this storm is very bad. Guriala moved his large curly body and his head near the door. All right, he said, come in. The brothers pushed the door open quickly and ran inside, straight into Guriala's mouth. Guriala was very surprised and felt the boys running around in his mouth and swung his large head from side to side on the floor. There their feet tickled his tongue, making him swallow. The boys went down into his stomach and were gone. Guriala was very upset. He hadn't meant this to happen. Then he thought how worried and angry the people would be when they couldn't find the boys. He didn't know what to do, except go away. He slithered out of the humpy into the storm and travelled north again until he came to the mountain Bora-Bunaru, where he stayed at the top. The next morning, only light rain was falling and people came out of their humpies and moved around. They looked for the boys, saw their footprints going into Guriala's humpy, looked at the footprints and the tracks on the floor. They guessed what had happened, and the tracks outside had told them that Guriala was gone. When the rain stopped, the people saw a rainbow in the sky and knew it was the spirit Guriala. When we see a rainbow today after the rain, we know we're looking at Guriala, the rainbow serpent. For me, creation is real events called catastrophes, like comets, volcanoes and solar flares, and the dreaming is old school meditation. The story starts off how the country looked after the Mount Toba eruption, then tsunami 75,000 years ago, where people did survive. Then it adds in the 2 creations, the 11,000-year-old Younga Dryas tsunami, south to north on the east coast of Australia, and Mount Toba 75,000 years ago. When making the landscape, Guriala is at the time just after the flood and during the flood, and responsible for the flood while creating a new world, another creator-destroyer god. When Guriala meets his tribe in Dreamtime, it's before the Mount Toba eruption, during the Ice Age civilization, when the megafauna, flora and giant reptiles lived. Guriala's tribe are real people, but explained in Dreamtime style, as they don't mention the interaction with the African civilizations trading then, but we see the evidence in Moajon rock art. So my thoughts are Bilbil Lorikeet, Rainbow Lorikeet brothers. They may be similar to the Moajon mob's first humans, the Guinguan, who appear to be Africans painted in Monday style on their cave walls. Swallowing the brothers explains the massacre Guriella left on Australia by taking many, many brothers and sisters many times. Guriella's life in this sacred story, has travel, adventure, creation, joy, shock, guilt, fear, sadness, and forgiveness. And the only way to God, as shown by Guriella, is empathy. Thanks for watching.